All right, what's up, guys? We got new patch notes coming for March 24th. They gave them to us again a couple of days early here. I think it's actually about the same time, 3 days early, pre the actual patch. So we're gonna go through them. We're gonna go through them line by line. But first, again, as per usual, we stream every day on Kick, Twitch, and YouTube at 7 p.m. EST. We go for at least 4 hours. These patch notes happen to come out in the middle of that stream. Actually, more towards the start. I think it came out like 7:15. So we're doing live. If you want to come and have some input, feel free to stop by. If not, it's whatever. I should be streaming still with this video going up. So, without further ado, we're gonna go through the patch notes. Just like we did before, we have massive buff, big buff, buff, neutral, nerf, no changes, nuked, all that fun stuff. We don't have too many changes. So up at the top, they're saying that these changes are mostly for group play in PvP. But they still do affect raid and well, I was about to say Mythic Plus, and Mythic Plus is group play. But they do affect raid, which is the only thing everybody can really do right now. So starting up with Demon Hunter is the first thing, and these are actually not all. These are most of the class changes right here. So we got no change for any of the Death Knight specs. If you are aware, I didn't make a video on it, but 2 days ago on the 18th, Unholy got massively buffed again. So we will throw it in there since I didn't make a video. But, if you're somebody who watched this video and not the short that's going to come out afterwards with this tier list, you will know Unholy is up there because I did not make a video on the 18th notes, and it's back to what it was. Either way, on to Devour Demon Hunter. All damage increased by 3%. Focus rate damage increased by 80%, was 50. Collapsing Star main target damage, bonus increased to 75%, was 50. That's a really big buff. Just getting a global 3%, and then their Ray as well as Collapsing Star. That's a pretty big buff. If it was just the 3%, it'd just be a buff. But if I'm not mistaken, those are their two main damaging things. And I'm kind of a little confused about the Collapsing Star thing. If this is targeted towards group play, if there's any Devour Demon Hunters, leave in the comments below. Was Collapsing Star actually underperforming single target wise? But I don't understand how a single target buff is them focusing group play. That's a little confusing. Either way, nothing for Havoc, which is a little weird because Havoc and Devour are pretty close to each other, both on sims and logs, from what I was seeing. So it's kind of weird that they buffed one and then didn't buff the other. Now one's going to be outperforming the other one, and they both play fairly similar. So why wouldn't you just play Devour? I understand it's a new spec and Blizzard wants more people to play it over the other specs because that's the poster child for the expansion, but a little weird. No tank change for Druids. We got nothing for Boomkin, Feral, or Guardian. However, Resto Druid, they did get buffs, and they are pretty big buffs. I would definitely say that these are big buffs. Rejuve and Germination healing increased by 10%. Tranquility healing increased by 10%. Wild Growth 10%. And Embrace of the Dream healing 35%. I don't play Resto Druid currently. I'm not 100% sure what Embrace of the Dream healing is. However, your double rejuve, your group healing CD, and then just your group healing all getting buffed. It's a pretty big buff, and it's 10%. That's not anything to really scoff at. So that's nice. Resto Druids are nice. I like Resto Druids. Devastation kind of took a hit here. They got both Scale Commander and just their regular damage decreased again. So Disintegration damage reduced by 5%. I believe in the last patch notes, it was also reduced by 5% as well. So this is still overperforming. Scale Commander, Mighty the Black Dragonflight bonus to black spells reduced to 20%, was 30 for Devastation only. Then Flame Shaper, Twin Flame damage increased by 25% for Devastation Evoker only. cool. So I guess they just brought the specs in line with each other. Devastation is very high up on logs right now. I believe that they're actually number 1 on logs right now over Demo Lock, which is kind of something to talk about a little bit when we're looking at these logs and shit. When people are like, "Oh, well, this is performing super well in raid and all that stuff." If you're doing a 20-man raid and you have 16 DPS, 14 DPS, that's 14 other players cleaving and AoEing. If your class is very good at just snap cleave, like with flame breath and stuff, your pad is going to be insane. Because those ads that don't need to die immediately are dying immediately because you're cleaving and padding that meter. You know, first boss, prime example, all the ads do need to die. We agree on that. However, that one big ad in the middle is going to die a hell of a lot slower than all the little ads. So technically, the most efficient way would be to kill them all at the same time in a perfect world. But if you have a few classes that are just murking those immediately, and then everybody is back to single target, there's no point for some people to be in a cleave / AoE build for a fight like that. They're better off staying single target because there are other classes just better at that snap cleave than them. So, if you're looking to parse, you don't really go heavy into AoE on a fight like Imperator. You know, you go single target and then take a cleave node here or there that will benefit you in those few seconds you do have to cleave, if we're talking about cheesing the numbers and batting. So, Devastation getting a nerf is a little weird to me, especially with it being on Disintegration. Maybe I'm unfamiliar with how Disintegration works, but it's a little weird. But it is performing, so I guess bring it down a little bit. You know, bring it in line, because the top end is very far away from the bottom end currently, which it fucking always is. Blizzard sucks at tuning. But either way, they got hit with a nerf for sure. No augment changes. It was definitely a nerf to them. Maybe this is enough to where you could play Scale Commander or Flame Shaper now. Maybe that was just their only goal here, was that. But who knows. Preservation. All healing reduced by 5%. However, time of need healing increased by 50%, and Verdant Embrace healing by 15%. So, it's definitely a nerf, but it's not huge. Like, these make that 5% maybe a 3 or a 4%. Verdant Embrace is up pretty often, and it's kind of a single target. I believe it'll AoE once you land to your target. Honestly, I almost want to put it in neutral, but I don't know. We're so early in, I don't know how big time of need is to a Preservation Evoker's healing. So I kind of just want to neutral it out. And I'm going to assume that time of need is supposed to be a much larger portion of their healing than it is, by it getting a 50% buff. So we're gonna throw that in neutral. I'll look at some logs after this, and we'll find out. After that, BM Hunter. So all damage dealt by you and your pets increased by 5%. Nothing to really say there. Just a buff. That's it. Marksman. Aspect of the Hydra effectiveness reduced by 35%. Hydra is their meta build currently. Obviously, by the way, it's getting nerfed. However, you never know with Blizzard. And their aim shot damage is increased by another 8%. That does not affect PvP, thankfully. So I want to say this is a net neutral again. Aim shot hits really hard, but Hydra also hits really hard, so it getting nerfed by 30%. That's almost half. That's kind of really just depends on how much Hydra is of their damage compared to aim shot, which I think aim shot is still top dog in their damage. I could be wrong though. Feel free to correct me. Survival, no changes. Mage, no changes for Mage at all, which is a little surprising because Arcane is kind of in the gutter. Oh man, Again, this goes back to the log thing, and I'm not going to harp on it. But Arcane is doing really good in like dungeons and AoE and Cleave and stuff. It's not in just raid and sims and stuff. It's doing fucking dog shit. But I don't think it's that bad. But that's anecdotal. That's my own personal experience with seeing some Arcane mages, which are few and far between. Everybody's playing Frost right now. So, you know. Brewmaster and Mistweaver. Windwalker also. No changes. Onto the Holy Paladin. Nerf. Reflection of Radiance proc rate has been significantly reduced. That's fine. Hammer and Anvil healing increased by 35%. Rite of Sanctification primary stat gain increased by to 5%. Was 2%. And then Rite of Abjuration, Adjuration. I'm gonna butcher that word 6 ways to Sunday, again and again. Either way, that one healing increased by 150% for Holy Pallies. So the proc rate of Reflection of Radiance is it's a fairly big nerf. I play Holy Pally in arenas, so I can't really speak from a PvE sense. But for PvP, that's going to be a pretty big nerf. It's going to be a slight nerf considering that none of these buffs apply to PvP. We're not talking about PvP right now, though, even though these patch notes were supposed to be geared towards group play in PvP. So it's a buff. It's definitely a buff. Hammer and Anvil, Rite of Sanctification, getting buffed up. I almost want to call it a big buff, but I don't know. They didn't give us any numbers on the proc rates, so who knows? I'm gonna say big buff as of right now, because again, 35%, and then an extra 3% on primary stat is insane, and 150% there. Hard not to say big buff. Prot, no changes. Not going to say anything about that because I don't want to nerf my boy. Discipline, all damage reduced by 12%. That's fucking needed. They just press penance and then it's just over. And they win. Power word shield. Shield and void shield absorption increased by 15%. Cool. Flash and shadow mending. Healing increased by 15%. Cool. It's definitely a nerf. It's definitely a nerf. Them doing damage is a very big part of their healing. And so them not being like a pseudo 15th DPS kind of hurts them because that's why you bring them to raid, really. They do have certain cooldowns like Dome and Pain Sub and stuff that are really good. Not discounting those. But when you bring a Disc Priest, you're like, oh, extra damage, right? We're squeezing damage here. However, it just brings them in line with other healers, I would say. Whether that 12% was needed or not, I don't know. Haven't seen too many Disc Priests, and I haven't seen them pumping exactly. But the reason I said it was good is so that they can actually cast some healing and not just do some damage. Rogue. All rogue specs buffed. Nothing for Holy. Nothing for Shadow. All rogue specs were buffed. It was micro, but they were buffed. Assassination, Outlaw both got 4% ability and melee damage increase. Sub got 3%. So, little buffs all around. I mean, rogues are in the fucking gutter right now. They need to do something with that because they are. I think it would have been fair to just give like 665. I think would have been a little bit more fair to where they're currently at. Elemental Shaman. Elemental Shaman just that's a massive buff. 20% to Lava Burst, 15 LE Blast, 15 Earth Shock, 10 to Lightning Bolt again, 10 to Flame Shock, 10 to Voltaic Blaze. Fucking huge. Massive buffs to Ellie. Ellie again, its dungeon damage is insane. Its raid single target, not fucking great. This will bring that up substantially. I think they're like second from the bottom. I think BM Hunter is like the only one throughput wise lower than them. So this will help. I don't think this is a massive buff, but I don't think it's going to put him at the top. I do not think this makes Ellie like S tier. I think it definitely brings it into A. 100% brings it into A. Resto Shaman healing is increased by 3%. Sick. Nothing for enhance. Little buff for Resto Shaman. We like to see it. Warlock Demonology, damage reduced by 4%. Nothing for Haffy again. I'm so sorry. The Demo got a little nerf. And these are the changes that they should have been doing. Like every week in beta is just 4% up and down, up and down, up and down. Like the wildness that we have people simming and doing like 98k DPS and then other things simming for like 140k. 50% difference is fucking crazy. Criminal. And that is it for the end of these patch notes. We got no changes for Warrior, Destro at all. So a whole lot of nothing here. We're expecting a few more changes to kind of come through as time progresses. Blizzard gave us a couple iterations of the last patch notes for the 17th, a few days leading up to it. So we're likely going to get some revisions tomorrow and the next day. And then likely a fix for something that they fucked up and broke on the 25th, the day after the patch launches. But other than that, again, we stream every day, 7 p.m. Twitch, YouTube, Kick. Oh my god, I almost said TikTok. Not TikTok. 7 p.m. EST every single day. Come by, say hi, talk to me about this. Talk shit to me if you want. Don't care. Either way, I love you. Say it back. Have a wonderful day. And hopefully your class got buffed.